Good morning. Hello. My name is Kurt, and this is October 26th, 2022. I'm doing my Good Life meditation. This is a video that I do each and every morning just after waking up to remember my life objectives and principles and to plan for the coming day. And think about how I did plan these to yesterday. Usually I look at a clock that Yumiko has on the wall over there, but it's gone. We continue the inexorable march from this house. This is our last 48 hours or so, although we'll have the house all the way till next Monday. So we could ostensibly be back doing a couple back and forths on the weekend tomorrow, and then the night after that is our last 2 nights. Took apart my office yesterday. It was very good feeling to get the actual desk part away. So I'll have to do this video a little faster because I do need to go into the office, which means I need more time, more buffer. Can't be going on for an hour. Anyway, yesterday I took half a day off, which felt good. Boy, I slept well. I think that is good. So even when I retire, maybe I'll still want to do something, right? Maybe half a day would be sufficient, even if it was IT again. Maybe I could continue doing consulting work from Japan. That would be fine. Because it feels good. I was telling Yumiko yesterday, what do you do? How do you fill the time? I think I have plenty of things. And in Japan, I think I would have even plenty of things still. But we'll see. Anyway, feel good. Noting that it was the half day off, I believe, that caused that. Even though I was working very hard, cleaning the carpet, it's very hard physical work, I nonetheless feel good. Okay, hi. No real challenges in particular yesterday. You look happy. Okay, now my 7 objectives are as follows. 1, to be always ready to die. To have my life affairs, my relationships, and my life's work in order. 2, to make good and effective use of time. To not waste my days, to not let them slide underneath me or drift past without finding suitable opportunities for engagement and improvement. 3, the development and maintenance of good and sound life principles. That's the 7 objectives and 32 principles that currently constitute the Good Life Creed. This very thing I'm reciting right now. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become a person who does not fly off the handle or take things too unduly lightly, but who finds the right measured response and attention to things, or at least the best that I'm able to do. Kind of performing triage and an evaluation along the way with everything that I encounter to decide, is this something that needs my attention, and if so, how much and for how long? What constitutes the right amount? Next is the cultivation of good emotional reactions, just to react well throughout the day. It's the end result of an effort towards maturity, remembering my past success and failures, and exercising fortitude to do better and maintain. Is it fortitude? Yeah, fortitude to do the best I can. Then performing good actions, just doing good things throughout the day. That's what I said. I've had even a sip of my coffee yet. The dog's got me holding him, so that's a good use of time. So I'll hold off on the coffee. So my mind's still just catching up. And then to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, so that I'm not pressing or extending myself into areas that where I have no business applying undue attention. And then to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, as I'm trying to do right now. Slowly yet efficiently and quickly enough that I can make sure I have plenty of time to get to work and, of course, feed my dogs and take care of them. Yeah, good boy. Now my 32 principles. 1, the principle of war. To always be fighting against whatever I think is true, whatever I want to onboard as potentially true, whatever candidate things come my way that seem important and consequential, and particularly whatever anyone else tells me that they think I should onboard and believe is true. I'm going to run those things through the ringer. The important ones, at least. Mundane claims, I'll give a pass to. 2, reason and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. Reason is the instrument that I use in the aforementioned war. It is how I figure out what I'm going to believe. I use honesty to make sure that I'm being truthful with myself and others. Objectivity to try to see as many sides as possible. Doubt, being a constant skeptic. Yeah. And humiliation, standing ready to accept the humiliation of discovering that I'm wrong and welcome that fact, welcome the uncovering of my error. What a blessing to realize that I was wrong. Next is the homunculus. Let's do a twofer. It's two to go together, really. The homunculus and the anchor hold. Two funny-sounding principles that go together. These terms are rooted in history and in particular religion. The homunculus is the description of the little man within, not necessarily a religious term, but a very old historical term. I'm not sure exactly, I should look it up exactly how it was used, but you can find some old pictures of like a man inside your head or like inside. And I believe that that's what we have in our consciousness. In particular, I believe we have a mortal consciousness, the one that will not survive our death. And as such, I have to take this life very seriously because I don't believe that what I'm using right now to make this video will survive my death. That will be the end. Absolute utter. The second term in this twofer is the anchor hold, another old term which describes how people in the Middle Ages would wall themselves in Europe would wall themselves into the side of churches with a little hole peeking into the where the service was held, called the squint, where they could watch the service and pray, living their lives in that little celled-in hermitage, passing out their waste and accepting in food. These people were called anchorites or anchoritises, and the place where they spent their time was the anchor hold. I believe that my consciousness is similarly trapped within me. It's kind of, you can kind of feel it. It's like right behind the eyes, between the ears, right around up here. And it looks out through my eyes, it listens through my ears, it touches the world with my fingers and toes, etc. And it is as mortal as my body and will die and be gone. The moment, it'll pretty much wink out the moment my consciousness fades and inexorably passes the point of no return. Next comes the home of good and evil. I don't think that there's any absolute right or wrong in the universe. The closest that I can think of is the seeming biological mandate that we all possess to reproduce, to make copies of our genes and pass ourselves into our children. Pass our ripened being, as the poet would say. Let me have a sip of my coffee and then I'll pet you some more. I think it was Hawthorne. I think it was Nathaniel Hawthorne. Or it was Emerson who said that, the ripened being, describing the same thing. As such, I don't think right and wrong exist. If we don't, well, it really begins with my assumption that God doesn't exist. And if God doesn't exist, then absolutes of right and wrong do not exist. We simply are. We have our biological mandate to reproduce, to survive, and from that stems everything that we do and everything that we are. And as such, right and wrong exist as opinions in our heads. Sorry, I was looking at someone who's at my website. I was looking to see if someone from Brooklyn just popped into the website. You can see the little things as it pops by. Right and wrong aren't absolutes. They're just ideas. They're opinions that we maintain. And it's important, therefore, to maintain good ones and have good grounding and reason for the things that I believe are good and bad. And good and bad are basically boiled down in my worldview. Good is the pursuit of virtue and endeavors of virtue. Bad is the pursuit of vice and the endeavors of vice, where vice, kind of broadly speaking, is whatever is a deliberate deliberate endeavors against the well-being of thinking creatures. And virtue is whatever promotes the well-being of thinking creatures, where well-being can be discussed and decided, but it's basically whatever makes us flourish, be fruitful and happy. Next comes the principle of, let's see, homo, good and evil, and then purpose. I think that's next. My purpose, well, I think there are 3 purpose in life. One is to, like I said before, to have children. The second purpose is to be a virtuous person. Again, per the definition that I already provided. The next one is, he's having some fun there. The next one is to pursue whatever purpose we would choose for ourselves. And for me, that's the promotion of my story of going alone and the resulting good life creed that I built out of that. So, and I pursue all 3 of those purposes in my life. My daughter's, raised. She's an adult now. She's in her 3rd year of college, doing fine. Pretty much doesn't need mom and dad anymore except for the old wallet. That's fine. That's our duty. And then my other mandate is to be a virtuous. My decided mandate is to be a virtuous man, and I do everything I can to do that. In large part through this effort of refining the Good Life Creed and enacting it through daily reflection of how I'm doing. And then 3, the purpose. My own personal purpose is the promotion of my book, which will be the endeavor of the rest of my life. Right. I'm doing so in earnest through now through the marketing phase of the effort. 3 years of writing, 4 years of editing, the rest of my life in promotion and marketing. Even after I get back to Japan, my first aim will be the promotion of the good life, because I think it can do people good. Well, I've certainly gotten lots of feedback to that end. The people that read it might realize that they're not alone in apprehending a universe without God, and that they do have a weighty responsibility on their shoulders to develop some sort of a methodology, a plan, a creed to live by, and then to work hard throughout their life to improve the well-being of thinking creatures, including themselves and their pets. Next comes the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever transforming. So too us. Then the principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature, including us. And then the pirate ride. Free will is of our own volition as it appears, I believe, is an illusion. We feel like we're free. We think that we are free. But in fact, we're being driven is the best word to describe it. Driven by the inertia of the universe. We have a little say in the way that the river, stream, and currents of the world push and prod us around. Although we own up to it and we accept that responsibility, faint as it may be, because it's important. If we didn't take it seriously, that we wouldn't be engaged and involved. So we fool ourselves. We are fooled by our own biology into thinking that we have free will, when in fact we are reactionary engines compatible with the grand scheme of nature of the universe. I see just the English language is so loaded with these terms that imply agency. Scheme implies agency. I don't think there's any agency. I don't think there's any God. It's just a catastrophically cascading, a catastrophic into the terms of entropy, cascading flow of energy and matter towards entropy. And we are caught up in that. Happen to be happily in a system that is open, with the sun providing sunlight and the Earth's own internal heat warming the Earth, that provides us opportunities to fight upstream, to swim upstream from entropy towards creating order and being order out of the chaos for the brief time that we're here. Feels like we're in control, though, doesn't it? Feelings aren't everything. Then comes maturity. I talked about that a little bit earlier, and the sub-principles of wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. We are mature when we wisely remember our past successes and failures, have the fortitude to do better, and enjoy the resulting integrity of having a life that's in accord and matching with our values. Now comes the social principle. We're social creatures. We need each other, and our best ends are social ends. The sub-principles here are justice, diplomacy, conspiracy. We should work together to define what constitutes justice, and then use diplomacy to do that. That's right, diplomacy, justice, and conspiracy. I said it out of order. Diplomacy is the interaction that we make. The compromise is the give and the take that we do to seek after the definition and then the pursuit of the just state, the better city. And then conspiracy is what we do when we come into agreement, reach coalition to make that happen. It's very mature and very an adult of us to do so. Then comes the principle of public speaking and the sub-principles of best words, eloquence, prudence, rumor, and gossip. Best words suggest that throughout our young life we should read a lot. Note the words we don't understand, underline them in the books that we read, look them up, and make them our own. I do that by looking them up, and then I make social media posts where I have to use the word and I find it, take it into its context, quote it in its context, and send it out. It's a laborious process that I have to do as I approach age 60 because otherwise I won't remember it. In my teens and 20s, I could see the word once, underline it, and it was mine for good. And as a result, I have a good vocabulary, but I'm very careful. This is the second part of it, to use that vocabulary carefully. I don't use it to be showy or flashy or to be unduly embellish what I want to say, to try to make up for my content with vocabulary. Instead, I want my words to be the best words that I can think of for the moment, and I will use them. As I use my words, I pass them through the filter-like, veil of a prudence, where prudence is the discretion that we use to ensure that our spoken and written words are passed through our values, that they're not reflective of the man or woman that we are not or that we do not wish to be, that we are whole in our communications. It's very difficult to do. It takes lots of practice. But if we can do that, if we can cultivate a good vocabulary, learn to exercise first and then have a good foundational value system and then exercise prudence to pass our communications through that value system, we wind up with eloquence, which is the beauty and the masterfulness of good communication, a beautiful communication, chock full of meaning in pursuit of our principles and objectives. The two negatives here are rumor and gossip, which I highly recommend to avoid. Don't pass rumors because it simply makes the world a worse place, telling people about stuff that may not be true or maybe unduly worry them unnecessarily. And gossip, where gossip is defined as talking about someone else who's not there, behind their back, someone else who's not around, basically, in such a way that if you discovered that they were listening over your shoulder while you were talking about them, you'd be embarrassed about what you said. Clearly, that's not a good thing. So don't do rumors, don't do gossip. I'm speaking to myself here. But do cultivate a good vocabulary. Do have a good foundational set of values that you can use in exercising prudence in passing your communications through, resulting in eloquence. Pardon me. Okay, that was public speaking. Next comes the distraction and agency in the great indifference. Distraction is what we do so that we don't have to witness a universe without God. So we tell ourselves all about the importance of ourselves and the fact that someone is watching over us and that we have a soul and that prayer works and that there's a hereafter and we'll see Grandma again in heaven. And that bad old person will be suffering in hell. Nice stories. No reason to believe them at all. Excuse me. But we distract ourselves from that. And what is it that tells us that suggests that the universe may be without God? It's the apprehension of the great indifference. which is the character, one of the characters in my book, Going Alone. It's the emptiness of the universe, a universe without God. How do you apprehend and see the great indifference? Well, you have to go to a place where it's not, so to speak, namely a desert moonscape. The place I recommend is the Bristol Mountains, north of the ghost town of Siberia in the Mojave Desert. There's plenty of nothing out there. Just go alone and don't bring anything to save your life. But be forewarned, it may kill you out there. A very good chance of it, especially if you go in the wrong months. When are the wrong months? Anytime that's not between November and roughly April. Even April, watch out. November to April are the safest months, but even then, watch out. There's two killers in the desert, the winter killer and the summer killer, plus myriad others, but those are the two killers that are particular to that desert area. If you go, I still think though that if you went by my recommendation and went to where I suggested, you're not going to see a damn thing simply by virtue of the fact that I recommended it. You almost have to find your own damn Siberia and your own damn desert. Good luck. The places are out there, but it has to be devoid of life. Nearly so. Then maybe you'll apprehend and gain sight of the emptiness that is that howls of the great indifference. And then how do you unsee that? And then you wind up like me, believing that there is no God, believing that there is no soul, believing that there is no forever or absolute right or wrong or justice to be found, and believing that all we have is one another. What do you do with that? Well, you could swallow a pistol and off yourself. That's what some people do when they feel like life has no meaning. Funny, just yesterday someone on Facebook was talking with me about that. My answer to that was, yeah, life may have no meaning. The universe may not offer us any recourse. There may be no God and no reason to think in absolutes. But that doesn't stop us from manufacturing our own meaning. In fact, we come ready built by nature with a mandate, which is to reproduce and get our genes into the next generation to have children. And you don't even have to have kids to do that. You can do that through efforts like being a foster parent or supporting things or being a nice aunt or uncle or whatever the case may be. There's lots of opportunities to fulfill that mandate in ways other than using sperm or eggs to create new vessels that happen to have our alleles in half equal proportion. Yeah, so you can't put a gun into your mouth and blow your brains off, but and I don't deny that that's an option that some people choose, and I feel sorry for them that they do choose that, but it is their recourse if they want it. It is their option, and it's the reason why a lot of people don't choose to witness the great indifference, because they fear that life without purpose, life without inherent purpose, is one that they can't live with. If you feel like you can take that chance, then I highly recommend attempting to witness the great indifference, and then making the effort to make a good life out of that. It can be done in spades, and it's better than the alternative. It's much better than taking a ready-made, prepackaged, fast food, a la carte version of values and using that because they're not your own, and you didn't work hard at them, and you don't have good reason and grounding for why they are. They just are held up by authority and dogma and tradition. What you do get with that, though, is a ready-made community, and there's a lot to be said for that. But you can have community with my alternative too, but it's a little bit of a sparser community, but you certainly can do it. Yeah. And boy, I spent a lot of time on those two: distraction and agency, and the great indifference. The witness of the universe without God, and then how we tend to distract ourselves through our work and our play and our hobbies and our sports and our politics and our religion and our God, into convincing ourselves that we're not alone, and that there is a forever, and there is a God that will watch out for us, and it's not all on us. You can have that. All right, so next is fiver. Is it a fiver? Yeah. Temperance. Life will not go well. The horror show. That which must be born. And the feast of hopeful. Temperance is our ability to control our consumption, to use fortitude, to actually say, no, I will not have another cookie. Yes, I will get up and I'll go walk 5 miles. No, I won't goof off at work. Yes, I will be a good man, take the hard road, and try to make the world a better place. All these things, right? This is temperance. It's a good skill to have, and it's going to be helpful when we face down the difficult days of life and the difficult hours of life, when we can control how we react to it, maintaining a more stoic countenance and disposition. The second part of this is life will not go well, and it ain't going to go well. Days are going to come that are going to be really hard. We're going to wake up and say, God damn, I don't want to do this day, but you got to do it anyway, especially if you're an adult. Especially if you want to live well and you want to have a virtuous life, right? You got to do your dues, pay your dues, and do your work, right? And days aren't going to go well. The bullseye aim. We're going to shoot for the mark and we're going to miss. I'm going to try to get to work by 7 o'clock. I'll get there by 7:05. Damn it. Damn traffic. I'm going to go to a meeting. I'm going to try to hit 5 items on my agenda. I'm going to forget the 5th one, right? Etc., etc. It goes on and on and on. Life is not going to go well. It's entropy creeping in and making a muck of it all. The horror show is when things don't go well to catastrophic, horrifying consequences, right? I can begin to provide examples, although it really hurts me to do so. It's so hard to do. It makes me friggin' cuss. It literally draws 4-letter words out of my mind. For example, let's imagine, and like I said, this is a strictly Stoic exercise. No, not strictly, but it is a Stoic exercise. I'm going to say some stuff now that is going to sound horrible, because remember, this is the horror show. This is the time to think about that which is so extreme that it bears not even being spoken, but it's coming. Maybe not the examples that I'm going to say just now, but it's coming one way or another, if only to be our sudden catastrophic death, like what happened to my father when he had his sudden heart attack. And sure, it only lasted for seconds, but it was the horror show arriving in spades, death standing over his shoulder. Now there's someone else on the website from Japan. Hey, someone on my website from Japan. Now the thing is, what if my daughter was raped today? She lives in the dorms. And I did notice, no, I won't say that's particular because it gives too many details away. I did notice something dangerous that I told her about, and I made sure that she had maintenance fix it. But let's say she hadn't done that, and she was raped. That's a pretty horrifying thing. What if I get in a motorcycle accident on my way to work today, and someone rams me from behind, snaps my back, and I'm paralyzed from the neck down? That's a pretty horrifying thing. Can't take care of my family. Who's going to take care of me? I mean, someone's going to have to take care of me. You begin to cascade down all the chain of things, right? Why couldn't I just have died instead, right? What if little Rudy here runs out in the street? I mean, he's never off a leash, but let's say he did get off a leash and runs out in the street and gets run over by a car, but doesn't die. He's whining and crying there in the street with his crushed body. None of these things are really evoking this stuff. I'm not going to the bad stuff. I mean, there's bad stuff that I can say, and I've done it in a couple of videos, and it makes me say, because it hurts to say those things. I mean, these are bad things. I mean, my daughter getting raped, me having a motorcycle accident, Rudy getting run over. These are all terrible things. Maybe they seem too pedestrian and average. Not that rape and accident and crushing are average. You get the point, right? Though This stuff is happening. It's going to happen. It's happening up and down the street that I live in right now. There's probably 30 houses here, and probably a good 5 or 10 of them have horrifying things going on right now. Maybe they're lost their jobs and they're about to get kicked out of their house and become homeless or something like that. I don't know. You get the point. So the purpose of this principle that I've spent so long on it is that by daily remembrance and reminder of that, I can then use Stoic apathy to prepare myself for what's coming. For example, with my daughter's situation, Stoicism would ask me to ask myself, why did I think that my daughter was immune to that type of vulnerability and that fact? And isn't it the fact that women are vulnerable, and men are too, to that type of an experience, and that it happens? And it tempers it. It doesn't take the pain away, but it tempers my reaction to it. It's like it is one of these things that unfolds in the universe, right? Not fated, not destiny, but a fact that these things happen, right? Likewise with my automobile accident, and likewise with Rudy. Now this can have the positive effect of then causing me to take due caution, right? For example, making sure, call my daughter up and say, did you, and which I already did you have the maintenance take care of that thing I told you about, which I thought led to a vulnerability? And she did indeed do that. Now maybe it's because I do these Stoic exercises, right? I think about it. That causes me to take that effort and caution. It could be the fact, or maybe it's just my nature. And with regard to the motorcycle, do I not tell myself that you could have an accident? And do I not accept that that is a risk, and isn't also something that I'm planning to get rid of the bike within a reasonable amount of time? I think I've kind of pushed that risk far enough, so it's an accepted risk. And likewise with Rudy, I take extra caution. I do not allow the dogs out the door without having their leash on and leash in my hand. So on and on and on. So I've talked a long time about this one. This is temperance. Life will not go well. The horror show. That which must be borne. We have to bear the fact of life will not go well, and the fact of the horror show. We have to carry it, born with an E. We have to bear it, right? And we use temperance, fortitude, Stoic exercises of imagining circumstances and how we would react to them from a Stoic perspective, of recognizing where to apply indifference. And where does indifference belong? Indifference belongs to everything that is outside of the control of our fortitude, our mind, our will. Back with will, right? You can't escape these terms, right? But even though I don't think it may be mine, I do think that I can exercise fortitude to make decisions and use temperance to control my consumption of life. And in so being, I can then use apathy, Stoic apathy, to see what is outside of the realm of my control. And what is outside of the realm of my control? Everything beyond my choices, my decision-making ability. Is a rapist breaking into my daughter's room beyond my decision-making ability? It is, to the extent that I've done everything I can to try to ensure that her room is safe. Is the fact of me getting banged in from this back on a motorcycle and in a traffic jam in the freeway beyond my scope of ability? It is beyond my ability it is quite beyond my ability when you come to that stop. Although I do things as a motorcyclist to exercise to keep my bike in such a way that I can slide up between the cars if I see a car coming fast. But still, it is beyond my control. I can't steer that car or apply the brakes to the car behind me. Is it beyond my control? Beyond my ability? If Rudy was to escape and get run over, it is beyond the scope of my control there. I want to do every exercise I can to avoid and prevent that circumstance. And then the last one is what was it? The feast of offal. Offal being the waste and byproduct of the butcher's art. Toenails, hair, skin and fat and bones that butchers don't use to sell directly, but they can grind up into sausage, right? Using the waste. It's waste. The waste of our intemperate, undisciplined, non-Stoic life is the upset that we feel that bubbles up. Now we can feel the upset. That's one thing. Letting it bubble up and infect others through our expression, that's quite another thing. So I use Stoic temperance and apathy, the recognition of what I am indifferent to prevent myself from making a spectacle of myself and hurting my family and my associates by in my undisciplined expressions. I don't blow up anymore. I did when I was, not a lot, but I did when I was in my 20s and 30s, more so in my 30s. Young family man. It's hard being a young father. And I was never violent or anything like that, but I would, blow up in my wife, and to a degree my daughter even saw it too when she was young enough before I finally got a handle on it. And I wasn't violent, but I would get upset, right? It's like, things that, the traditional thing about dad getting upset, losing his temper, because, can't find his hammer, which is really an expression of other types of upset. I did that too in my 30s, and I largely got it under control in my 40s, and now it doesn't show up anymore. If anything, it's just barely trickles, and I see it, and I jump on top of it and squelch it down. Whew. Took a long time though. That's the feast of ovum, is that upset that bubbles up, and we share it with others and infect them in the process. It's also when we choose to apply attention and consume the feast that others are giving out. Kind of a voyeuristic, unclean thing. Okay, that's that. Now comes the best seat in the house. To be all right with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. Right here, right when, right as I am. All the while striving for better. It's a kind of a pat your head while rubbing your tummy type of a thing. Then comes three-fer, or four-fer actually. That would be the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, and the risk of avoiding risk. The restless man is that feeling that we have inside that we want something more out of life. We usually get that when we're in our late teens, mid-teens, late teens, early 20s, especially as life starts to weigh down upon us and we start to think, what is there out there? I just don't want to take this path. That's exactly the path that led my wife to America. It's one of the reasons I knew that she was the girl for me. I was like, wow, even though I didn't realize it at the time, it was in hindsight, I realized, wow, she and I are of the same tribe. And we are, even though we're very different. The path of wildness is the way to get there. It's breaking apart a current paradigm in favor of a new paradigm and heading out and striking into it. The path of wildness is easy to find. It's the course of a stream, leaves blown in the wind, a beast's track through the brush, and the direction of our first inclination. A lot of people feel the call to the path of wildness and never heed it. There's consequences to that. Those that do, there's consequences there too. The great life adventure is what results, especially if you took it young. Take the decade, take the time, not the decade, but the 5 years between about 25 and 30. Go to college, get a degree, and then when you're done, give your degree to your folks, and then head off into the world and don't come back till 30. Experience the world, have an adventure. That's your great life adventure. That will be the thing that will be the centerpiece, showcase, experience, emblematic of the man or woman that you became, and review the wealth of stories that you'll tell all your life, and it will be the satisfaction that you'll have when you're in your 30s and your 40s, when life gets hard, when you're a parent, and at least you won't be longing, what if you had your what if. You'll be thinking, whew, it's tough, life's tough. But you won't be necessarily tempted to break it apart in favor of something new, which is an awful thing to do. To destroying Terra family apart in favor of an adventure that you gave up, an opportunity that you gave up younger in life. Once you have the kids, once you put a ring on it, there are responsibilities you're on board, and you have to see those through. Unless there's, abuse or addiction involved that can't be overcome. Still, to the kids, there's some obligation there. You have to be very careful to make sure you attend to that. And the selfish years are for 25 to 30, right? After you get married and have kids, it's no longer about you anymore. But it can be about you later when the kids are grown. I'm at that stage right now, and I feel it coming. I had my great life adventure kind of early. I'm one of those that missed the boat. I didn't do the 25 to 30 thing. That's why I'm recommending that. I did it more in bits and pieces. I did put a ring on it, and I did start a family, and I did suffer the want and the desire, and the, wow, what if I missed it? Darn it, I wanted to do so many things. And fortunately, my partner said, well, yeah, no problem. She said, go out and have fun. Go do what you want to do on the weekends, right? But, the unspoken expectation was from Monday to Friday, I have to do my job, right? I'm a father. I mean, it was like so expected, it wasn't even spoken, right? And it was likewise for me. But then every other Sunday, I would go off into the woods alone in Japan and be Softy Papa, wear the hat, make the videos, and be a character and do the Abandoned Japan thing. And that did the job. And then when I came back to America, I did the Great Life Adventure of going alone, which did the job in spades as well. And so it kind of recaptured it, looking for opportunities to fit the adventure in the little nooks and crannies. I'm lucky I had a partner that accepted that. So it's good to find someone that you can spend your life with that shares the core values. Okay, that was that. Okay, then the Great Life Adventure. So I did The Restless Man, The Path of Wildness, The Great Life Adventure. The next one is The Risk of Avoiding Risk. There's the surface level risks of life and the deep risk. The deep risk is not finding ourselves, not taking a Great Life Adventure if you are so inclined. The surface level risks, and there are 5, roughly speaking, are getting a good education, finding a good job and a career, getting married, finding someone to spend your life with and getting married, creating a home together, and preparing for your old age. Saving for retirement, investing in a 401k, getting involved in a pension scheme, make sure you're doing Social Security, whatever the case is, so that you don't have to work all your life. Because you will get tired, and it will get exhausting, and you'll want to take a break. These 5 at the top, I call them the surface level risks because they seem a little easier because all of society is cultivated around that. Our parents tell us, go to school, get a job. Banks want to give us a loan for a house. Institutions want to get us married. Everybody supports that, and then having kids, of course, and the house, and then, good job. You plan for your old age. You winner, chicken dinner. But the thing is, if you started off in a young age and you felt that deep draw to the deep risk, and you didn't attend to it, these 5 surface level things are going to ring hollow later in life. And nothing tells me more than that than living in this old retirement community that I'm in now, which is chock full of people that did a fantastic job at the top 5. But they tell me so. This is not me intuiting it. This is them telling me so. They missed the boat on something in life, and they're too inculcated into their way of being, the 5, that they can't break out later in life. They told themselves that they could do it later, and they can't because they're too old, they're too mature, they're too smart, they're too rich, they're too set in their ways, they're too sick, they're too feeble, they're too scared, and they're too simply old. You need to be dumb, broke, reckless, and stupid to cultivate a really good adventure that might kill you, but nonetheless it'll be a great adventure, and then have the time to recover from it. Watch out. That's why I call it the risk of avoiding risk. It's the risk. There's the 2 level risks, and I have a plan that I'm proposing to avoid that. Take the path down to the deep level risk early in life, from 25 to 30 after college, and then spend from 30 on the 10 to the upper stuff. Sure, you'll be behind on your career from your people that were in college, but so what? You'll have the better stories. Then comes, and you'll smile through your eyes. There's something to that. There's a lot of false smiles out there, feigned smiles. Genuine smiles are a little tougher to come by. Next after that is, I gotta go fast, I'm taking so much time. After the risk of risk is the sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview, which are falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority. There's 8. Superstition, authority, rumor, and gossip. There's 8 in there. These are the things that result in the damnation in the here and now, because they are believed us to be damned liars, damned fools, or damned gossip, rumor-mongering gossips, all at once. Complete oblivion is next. There's no life after life. When you're dead, you're dead. There's no soul. There's no God. There's no heaven or hell. There's just this time that we've got together. I'm going to stop telling myself, fancy stories that make it so that I can be comfortable with my with the difficult questions of life. I'm going to take those things on, to live the best that I can, be a virtuous man, improve the well-being of thinking creatures, and then die and go into oblivion forever. Never seeing my loved ones again, never having a chance to make up differences, never having a chance to see justice. That's why my objectives, my first objectives, are to be always ready to die and to make good and effective use of my time, so that I don't die with those an undue balance, an a weighty balance, imbalance of things that I should have done that I didn't. Complete oblivion. No final reunion, no final reconciliation, no final justice. The season of philosophy. A time will come when, if you've lived well, the words will come, perhaps. And so I simply recommend keep a pen and paper handy, ready to record them as they come. Then the bullseye aim, shooting for the mark, but usually missing. That's what happens most of the time. The uphill climb, keep climbing up. Don't spend the day on the couch. Climb, climb, climb. Get up there. I'm literally talking about physically doing it as well as mentally. Read a book, meet new people, take on challenges at work, push past your limits, walk an extra half a mile, whatever it takes, go out of your way to love the dog, whatever it takes, one after another climb. Arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development of our objectives and principles, and then the utilization of these towards our more worthwhile ends. Nothing is enough. We can really get by with less. Here comes Ollie. And then lastly, the principle of fun. A reminder to have fun now, today, right now, and then enjoy the remembrance of the good times in the past, and then the anticipation of the good times to come. There, I got through my 32 principles and 7 objectives. Someone's in your seat, huh? That's rare to see those two like that. Oh, good. Oh, I'll wind this up. So today, what am I going to do for today? I want to get to work. I'm going to finish this, upload this, go upstairs, read my Bible. Hosea 10 today, I think, or 11 it is maybe. And then I'm going to walk the dogs, feed the dogs, get on my motorcycle, ride my motorcycle to work, and I'm going to have a kick-butt day. I've only got 3 meetings today, which means I have lots of time to catch up on really important stuff. I've got a whole laundry list of issues that I've got to work on, and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to work on some other stuff for one other project, some of the deep stuff that I've been meaning to work on. It's going to be a fruitful, productive, good day of climbing. It's going to be a day of virtue. It's going to be a day of fortitude, temperance, resolve. And I'm going to buy myself lunch because I don't have enough time to prepare my lunch this morning. So I'm just going to go ahead and go have tacos for lunch. I hope you all have a great day. Remember to be safe, but not too safe. Take care.